Welcome to Up Sports Podcast, your new go-to pod for sports, entertainment, culture, and humor. Today we preview the West and Eastern Conference Finals, wrap up the Game 7s, football, and our best bets. I'm Jarny. I'm coming off the bench from an injury, and I'm back to the podcast. Oh, and I'm teed up.
About these Game 7s and how absolutely insane they were. That Kawhi shot, though. I mean, can we just talk about that real quick?
That shot was insane.
That shit was lucky, bro.
Kawhi's a bucket.
No, let's talk about like the actual shot first, because like we could get into that whole series and the game. The game was kind of boring. Everyone was bricking shots left and right.
Nah,
I just felt like it was a poorly played game. But honestly, that shot at the end, I thought it was a complete miss at first. It bounced about 4 times. To me, I mean, Kawhi just probably made the best shot in Raptors history.
Another Vince Carter.
Something like that.
Yeah, one of the best shots.
Yeah, definitely.
My thing is, where was Jimmy Butler for that whole game besides that last second shot that he got? I feel like Jimmy Butler was not an impact throughout that whole game.
Nah, I mean, first half he definitely...
first half he was bad.
Yeah, he showed up second half, though. He's making some clutch-ass shots. But, I mean, he thinks that shot is, like, luck. Because he's a low-key, like, Sixers fan, we always say. But that shot, I mean, you could say it was luck, but he took that shot with faith, thinking it was going to go in. I know the little bounce, blah, 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 but, like...
Bro, 4 bounces? Not 1, not 2, 4, bro.
It went in,
so
though.
Lucky,
You
bro.
can say it was luck, but he still took that shot.
Any other rim, bro, it's coming out.
I think it being lucky is what made it such, like, a really cool sports moment. Because that crowd was dead silent while it was bouncing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's 50,000 people or whatever there. It's dead silent. It finally starts to roll in, and that place just goes berserk. Even Kawhi, who's usually emotionless, starts screaming, you know what I mean, at the top of his lungs. And for a Game 7 to win a series like that, like, the Dame shot was cool, you know, he won, like, a Game 5. But, like, Game 7, everything on the line, like, that's a moment you dream of as a kid. And nobody ever hit that shot in a Game 7, a buzzer beater to win the series in a Game 7 before. MJ did it in an elimination game, but to really end it on a buzzer like that, that was just phenomenal. And it makes a lot of sense why Embiid was crying after the game. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Did you see his bottom lip whenever he was crying?
No, I didn't see what happened. Oh, it was moving like crazy?
His lip was just sagging so low that one of the people were just talking about it, and then there was this scene where he was crying to his girlfriend, and there were just so many cameras around him just watching him cry to his girlfriend, and I was just like, this guy's an ugly ass crier, that's one. But I get why he was crying. They're saying that this is the hardest he's worked, blah, blah, blah. But I just feel like he could have done more. I feel like he could have done more that game.
He did good that game.
He did good. He did all right. I mean, he did his part. And honestly, if I'm a Sixers fan, I'm pretty happy that he's crying. It shows that he had some passion, you know. Not to discredit Ben Simmons or anything. Kind of been hating on him, like, since the podcast started. But he just walked off the court. Didn't even see him do an interview or anything. He just kind of didn't seem to care. And the way Ben's been playing, you know, where he's not been aggressive at all, if I was a Sixers fan, I'd be really content with Embiid showing a lot of emotion, crying, showing that like this game meant a lot to him. And what do you guys think about Brett Brown, his situation with the future of the team?
Yeah,
do you guys think his job's in question?
He's for a fact, yeah, he's out of there.
I see his job being in question 100%.
I'm the only person who doesn't really think so. Why should he be discredited? He's kind of the person that built this team up from the bottom of the barrel, where they were literally the worst team in the NBA like for years. And now he's finally getting some success with them. They have a lot of talent. He made some good moves. As a coach, I mean, he's got to do his thing. What's your guys' reasoning for him being fired?
I mean, dude, like, first off, you got a team like that. 5-star team. They got from every position, 1 to 5, great players in all those positions, and they lost in the second round.
To a good team.
Come on,
Tobias Harris is not top 5.
I would say
not top 5 position. I'm just saying like 5 people that are like good overall. You know what I'm saying?
I would say Tobias Harris was more productive on his previous team than the 76ers.
Clearly, he's number 1 option.
Because for that game, I did not see him being an option at all that game.
He's a good role player. Like that's how he should be on a championship team.
We got to stop thinking about that game. The whole series, they didn't really show up. There were games where like Ben didn't show up the whole series. We can't just put it on that one game.
The fact that went 7 alone is pretty insane.
Oh yeah, I mean
the Sixers really.
I mean that's
what I'm saying. Raptors should have won in 6.
They're not a bad team, but they're an inconsistent team. Yeah. And sometimes in the playoffs, when you're an inconsistent team, that usually shows more than anything.
But Brett Brown, like if that was I feel like it was any other good coach, that the team would be better. You know, like things wouldn't be how they are. Like if that was Doc Rivers coaching that team, they probably would have won the series.
I actually can agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What do you guys think is next for Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris? Do you think Embiid or Ben Simmons should be traded? JJ Redick is obviously getting a little bit old. Like, what do you guys think is the next for this team? Do you think there's trades? Where do you think the free agents go? Do they re-sign anybody?
Me personally, I think that team should stick together because they got this far. Why blow that team up? Because what, they lost? Like, so what? Try
Yeah.
again next year. Don't give up that early. You spent all these years trying to get this team. Now stick to it.
Regardless, I see Jimmy Butler leaving that team.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
going
see
to the
Jimmy-
Nets.
I don't see Jimmy Butler returning to that team next year.
I could see Tobias Harris staying another year or re-signing maybe for like 3 years or something like that because he seems like a guy who was kind of bought into the Philly situation. Jimmy Butler, though, I think he's going to get paid somewhere. That's his best. That's in his best interest to do something like that.
mean,
Find a better team essentially.
I don't really know if it's like that's a really good team. I don't know if there's really any other better team he could just go to right now. Plus, like, I mean, they'll give him some money here. I know money's probably a concern, not a concern, of course, but like he definitely wants the most he can get.
No,
now he's getting
it's a
older.
concern for him.
He's getting older.
I
He's
have
about to
been
be
hearing-
30. So
I have heard that since he is getting older, he is looking for like a max deal from some team.
Yeah,
so
no, he's not a max.
I
He's
don't.
not a max player, though.
But
he gets a
I-
max
not
from the
that type of
Hawks.
player.
He gets a
but
max from the Hawks.
I do see him
Yeah, a team like that.
wanting some big money.
Yeah.
Let's get into this Blazers-Nuggets Game 7, which was kind of a sloppy game, but the Blazers did their thing. CJ McCollum steals the show. He had 37 points on 17 for 29 shooting. Had some really good clutch mid-range buckets at the end of the game. Damian Lillard, you would think he would have had an amazing night. He only scored 13 points on 3 for 17 shooting, so he had like a pretty damn bad Game 7. But the Blazers end up taking a win, 100-96. Game came down to the wire. And the Blazers just made more of their clutch shots. What are your guys' thoughts on that Game 7?
Nuggets went out sad. Real sad. They were up 16.5. I know Dame, he didn't have a good game, but whatever. CJ did. That shows you the Nuggets aren't like that. Dame had a bad night, and they still won. CJ had to carry that team, basically carry that team.
The Nuggets
to the
missed
dub.
16 threes in a row. So they kind of had a
Looking
Rockets
like the Rockets
performance.
last year. Yeah.
Do you guys think three-point shooting, like in those clutch situations, becomes worse, like no matter what, just because of the pressure? Like three-point shooting is such a finesse skill that when the pressure's on, if you're even a little jittery, do you think that makes the shots miss?
I think it depends on the player. Yeah.
Yeah. For example, like Jamal Murray, he had a pretty bad night shooting in Game 7. His threes weren't falling, like nobody else was falling. Do you think it's because the Nuggets are like young and inexperienced?
Yeah, that's expected from Jamal. He's definitely young. You know, this is his first time in the playoffs in Game 7. You know, it's a big moment for him. So I could see that like messing him up. But like for a player like Curry or something, no effect.
Yeah.
I feel like under pressure, any lethal
Curry
shooter.
has like one of the most, like some of the best experience out there. You know?
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true too. Yeah,
So for him, it's
Jamal
like
Murray's
walk in the
young.
park.
Yeah,
But Jokic had a good night. He had 29 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, which is actually kind of surprising that he only had 2 assists. But he was playing like a superstar, and I guess that's really what the Nuggets wanted. But they still weren't able to capitalize. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think the Blazers have any sort of chance to top off the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals?
Zero chance.
No.
Yeah.
So here's some things that are going right for the Blazers in this scenario. There's going to be no Kevin Durant for the first 2 games guaranteed. However, games 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it goes, he's questionable. And Boogie's questionable for the whole series. So there's a chance Boogie isn't going to play any games in the series. It's kind of like the 2015 Warriors. Do you think the Blazers could steal one at Oracle and maybe make this a series or not at all?
Yeah, of course.
I could see them stealing one, but you got to look at this. This is literally the 2015 Warriors, and they were still doing big things back then. So I see them doing the same thing without Boogie or KD.
To me, I honestly, I'm a big, not a Warriors fan, but I've been supporting them since 2015. I kind of understand
So you're
the
a
team really
bandwagoner.
well.
Yeah.
I'm not like an actual bandwagoner. Like I was rooting for them to
No,
lose
yeah.
against the Rockets deep down inside, but I definitely think they could beat the Blazers. However, I think there's a lot of disadvantages to them right now. I think these games will be closer than people think. I think the Blazers, they might not be able to put up a great fight, but I think the Warriors, they're going to really have to put some focus in and really put their best effort forward if they want to win this series safely, or else this could definitely go 6 games or 7 games if they play sloppy and if Kevin Durant or Boogie isn't back on their schedule.
It seems like they split the regular season series 2-2, so anything could really happen. Blazers took one at the Warriors' home, they took one at their home, so I don't know. I definitely see. I don't know if the Blazers are going to take a game 1 or game 2. To be honest, I don't think so.
What are your guys' predictions for the series? Mine personally,
Warriors in 6.
I
Yeah,
have Warriors
Warriors
in
in
6.
6.
I'm gonna say the Blazers take 1 at Oracle,
And 1 at the
Warriors take 2 at the Moda Center, Portland. But honestly, it's just gonna come down, I think, to whether or not the Warriors can execute, almost flawlessly. They're going to have to play their top game and hit their threes. And the Warriors role players, who have been pretty bad, they stepped up in that Game 6 versus the Rockets. Can they repeat those performances?
Against the Blazers, I think so.
Yeah, the Rockets are better than the Blazers, you know what I'm saying? So, like...
Defensively, definitely.
Yeah, so I feel like... the Warriors, this is their easiest walk to the finals, I feel like. They're chilling.
But, yeah, I will say Dame is going to have to show up to even
he can't
have a
do
chance.
That, like,
he can't do shit,
18.
The shit he was doing against the Nuggets, that's not going to slide with the Warriors at all.
If Kevin Durant comes back for games 3 and 4, do you think that obviously the answer is yes, but how much of an impact does that make for them winning the series?
I mean, obviously it's a huge impact. It's KD, but it's also it's if he comes back 100%.
Yeah.
But even like a 60, 70% KD, that's still that's scary.
Yeah, who's guarding KD on that team?
Come on.
And also, you got to talk about these two backcourts. So, CJ McCollum used to have beef with KD on Twitter. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Podcast thing, you remember
KD,
that?
yeah, it was about a podcast scenario, and KD said, "Don't worry about what's happening at the top over here." But regardless from that, these are two dominant backcourts. How are these guys going to play each other? Obviously, Damian Lillard, the Nuggets kind of found a key to success by blitzing him and just rushing him on the top of the key, making him pass to one of the other weaker players, which is something I suggested in the previous podcast. But how do you think the Blazers are going to play Curry? Because Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, they're not premier defenders or anything. How are they going to exploit Clay and Steph Curry shooting?
I don't know. I just feel like the defense on the. I feel like Damian Lillard just has to show up, and so does CJ. Because if they don't, then this series is gonna end badly for them, and they might get swept.
They might even
get exposed. If they don't show up, they'll be exposed.
They might have like Damian or CJ guarding Curry or Clay. It could be like Alfred Camino. He's a better defender.
Yeah, but on the top of the key, they could just dish it to Draymond
that's not
or
a
something
good look.
like that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But we're gonna find out the results of the first game tomorrow. The Warriors are -7.5. That spread is looking pretty interesting to me. But let's talk about the Eastern Conference preview between the Raptors and the Bucks. This is no surprise to me that both of these teams are in the Eastern Conference Finals. But where would you grade these teams? Obviously the Raptors played the Sixers, who are a little bit better than the Celtics, you could argue. Or would you argue that the Bucks were just that dominant and they really exposed the Celtics team?
No, Celtics just didn't show up.
We didn't show up.
It's nothing. I mean, all credit to the Bucks. They did what they had to do. But you can't say that they were that dominant. Celtics, this didn't look like the Celtics that we've seen.
Especially when our star player sold us out in the last 4 games.
Sold us out.
Yeah.
Oh, this Kawhi versus Giannis matchup. Obviously, they probably aren't going to guard each other. But who is going to be a more impactful player in this series?
Who do you think's going to guard each other then?
I mean,
curiosity.
the way these two teams play, especially the Bucks, it's a lot of switching. You know what I mean? The Bucks are a tall team; they're just going to throw whoever at whoever. But I mean, me personally, I think the Bucks, what they're going to do to exploit Kawhi is just double team him constantly. Make Serge Ibaka make shots, make Marc Gasol make shots, Kyle Lowry. I think that the Raptors are going to run into a real problem here. But who do you think is going to be more important, Giannis or Kawhi in this series?
I think Kawhi. Giannis has. It's actually a good one. Giannis has a team around him, and Kawhi does too. But we're looking at Lowry. To be honest,
Lowry's an X factor.
Yeah,
he's ridiculous.
He is an X factor because his play in this series, especially, could be very poor. He's going to be going up against these tall guards. He can't really get a perimeter shot off at all. If Kyle Lowry's 100% worse than Kyrie, and Kyrie had a bad series, you can only imagine what Kyle Lowry is going to be doing.
Lowry was dishing it out though.
He always does that.
That's still something for a point guard.
I'm looking at my Snapchat.
Kyrie wasn't doing shit, if we're being honest.
I'm looking at my Snapchat, and I'm in the my memory section a couple months back, and we were actually at Raptors versus Nets game, and the Raptors lost that game. And when I'm looking at the top of looking at the box score in the arena, Kyle Lowry had 3 points for the whole game, and they went to overtime in that game.
Let's not forget, before that game started, Ty had Lowry going off that game. Yeah, I don't know what he saw.
Lowry was playing good in the whole season up until that point.
Bro, it was like the 20th game of the season.
That actually was a turning point.
It was like 40.
It was like 40, but it was still early in the season.
No, yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, what are yours serious predictions? Do you think the Bucks or Raptors win the series, and how many games?
I don't like the Bucks. They took out the Celtics, so I hope the Raptors win. But this is going to be a great series. All bias aside, I don't know. It's going to be a great one. I say either way, it's going to 7. I don't got to pick. I might have to see how both teams play in the first game. See how I really give an analysis on that.
Yeah, I have to decide on first game too. But Raptors in 7.
What's your opinion, Jarny?
I personally see the Bucks pulling this out. I see Giannis becoming a freak during this series, and I feel like he wants it. I feel like he wants to touch the finals.
I don't know. You think like
Kawhi
Kawhi, Siakam, and like Marc Gasol, those are gonna be like the 3 main people for Giannis. They're gonna allow him to go super crazy. It's obvious he can be slowed down. We see what happened in the Celtics
With
game
Horford,
1.
let's not
That was
forget
supposed to happen for the rest of the games. Obviously, it didn't. But you think the Raptors will be able to implement something like that the Celtics did in game 1?
I feel like the Raptors can stop him just by the players that you just named, but I don't know. I feel like there's just something about the Bucks this year that they're just gonna make it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Bucks in 5, and I know that's kind of like a hot take.
That is a super
5?
hot
No,
take.
yeah.
That's
in
not
5.
even a hot take. That's just disrespectful.
That is
It
crazy.
disrespectful. I've been like a big Raptors supporter this whole way, but the more and more I watch this team, the more and more I kind of start to hate them a little bit because their offensive plan is really terrible. On the defensive end, obviously they're very smart. They create a lot of turnovers. They run fast break well. But really, their offense is all ISO Kawhi, and the role players, they get their shots, they get their looks. They just can't knock them down. This team's a little bit old. They're a little bit slow. I think the Bucks are just going to run them out the gym. If they could take a 2-0 series lead, they'll be in a comfortable spot where they could just win the series with ease. I don't think the Raptors are capable of stealing one on the road. Philly's just a kind of a disorganized team. Honestly, I think the Bucks are like a lot more dominant. Maybe there's going to be some close games. Maybe the Raptors can pull one out at home where, clutch shooting or whatever. But honestly, I just think the Bucks are just that much of a better team. Anyways, let's go into our Instagram segment where we can take Q&As live. So before every podcast on Monday and Friday, we're going to be going live on Instagram to be talking about Q&As. You could ask us questions. You could hang out with us or whatever. We'll also be live on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at TU Sports Pod. Went live on Instagram today, had a couple viewers, and we got some questions that we're going to answer here from the guys who asked questions on the Instagram. So our first one is from Clairs15 on IG. That's CLARS15 on Instagram. He asked, "Where's Kyrie headed?" What do you guys think?
Not back to the Celtics, I'll tell you that. Not back there.
Get him out. I'm seeing things. I'm seeing a lot of stuff about. All of a sudden, the Lakers are in the mix. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff about the Lakers and the Knicks. The only thing that makes sense to me is the Lakers or the Nets. But actually, I take that back. Not even the Nets.
I was about to say last podcast, both of you, the Nuggets.
I keep forgetting about D'Angelo. Yeah, he might go to the Knicks for real. To be honest, anything to get him off my team, I don't care.
Me personally, I think like him going back to the Celtics isn't like completely out of question.
It's not.
I think they're gonna it's similar to the Paul George scenario. We all thought Paul George was going to the Lakers, like it was no question about it. And then it turns out that Paul George returned. I think it's gonna be something similar here. Kyrie is very likely to be a Knick, and I'm a Knicks fan, so I kind of want it, kind of don't want it. But I think him returning to the Celtics is definitely possible. I think they can work out a deal. I think he likes Brad Stevens. I think he likes the environment there. I don't really see why he'd leave, and if he does leave, it just kind of put a little tarnish on his career because he's just been kind of wish-washy and weird his whole career. This is just going to make it worse. I think him staying with the Celtics is a good move for him. Run it back, see where you guys can get some help in free agency if possible, make a trade. But honestly, Knicks or Celtics is my best bet.
The Paul George situation, Russell Westbrook had that party, invited him back, and that's what really reeled him in. They had a little talk at the party, nice little function.
Paul George was
there.
The deuce.
Yeah, he was probably drinking, stuff
He
like
was
that.
definitely drunk.
The Celtics we don't really
drunk.
have like someone that's gonna do that. Kyrie is the best player on the team technically, so we don't know who's gonna bring him. Oh, let's bring him to a party. Like, what's the real reason for him staying? It didn't even look like he wanted to stay in the series. Like, I don't see that. He's not gonna let Tatum talk to him. He's a young guy. Hey, stay in
I think
Boston.
he actually dislikes Tatum and Jalen. Like, I know that's you can't really say that.
Yeah.
But like to him, like those aren't role players that fit him. These guys take it to the rack. They're kind of like mid-range shooters, and they're both like kind of ISO guys. Jalen Brown's becoming like a really good role player, but Jason Tatum especially, like Jason Tatum plays like he's a superstar. Whether or not he actually is efficient at it,
it's because that Kobe
different
stuff over the
story.
summer, man.
Yeah,
that
that Kobe.
Don't work out with Kobe. Like for all. No, don't work out with Kobe.
Don't work out with Kobe.
You're gonna turn into just like a shot taker.
They're saying that Giannis worked out with Kobe, and now look at Giannis.
That's Giannis.
Giannis
is a freak of
nature.
nature.
Like,
He's in a different category.
Yeah.
Giannis is 100 times better than Jason Tatum.
Donovan
I
Mitchell
don't
also
even know.
worked out with Kobe.
And look, and
that
all right, come on. We're not
going
gonna talk about that one bad series he had.
Yeah,
He had one bad series, bro. He's 22 years old.
Rockets kind of exploited him.
The Rockets, exactly, exploited the Jazz. That doesn't even sound right.
I would love to see Kyrie on the Lakers because it's just like
That'd
the
be great.
whole big
I ain't
family reunion of him and LeBron James. Well, they're gonna get a new coach next
Fuck
year.
that family.
They're gonna get.
No, I agree. Fuck that family.
Yeah, I don't want
wanna
to see
that.
LeBron and
I don't
Kyrie
wanna see
together
that.
again.
Jason
Why
Kidd is
not? I
gonna
don't
be in the
mind.
mix. Frank Vogel, even though I don't
He's-
fuck Frank Vogel, but I do see it being a good team if Kyrie does come to the Lakers. But I feel like I just don't see Kyrie doing that. Like I just feel like
I don't see him
I
doing
feel
that.
like Kyrie has too much pride to go back to the Lakers. But they are saying that all it's gonna take is a LeBron James phone call, which I do see LeBron doing.
So
like
it's
I can
KD.
agree with that.
LeBron
But
just
inside
calling him and saying, "Hey, like, come, and let's work this out." So, I
Honest-
would love for that to happen.
Honestly, him joining the Lakers, they would officially be the most dysfunctional franchise in sports history. Because right now, what they're dealing with the
Sheesh.
Jason Kidd assistant coach thing, if you guys don't know, Jason Kidd was going to be the head coach of the Lakers. However, they couldn't hire him because of domestic abuse issues in his past, and he's like an alcoholic, yada, yada, yada. So they hired him as the assistant coach because it would give him a lesser role and he's not in the spotlight. So instead they hire Frank Vogel, who's never had success as a head coach. He's been on some decent teams, like he had those decent Pacer teams in like 2014, I believe. But aside from this, like with the Magic Johnson drama, with LeBron, being LeBron and doing his own thing at all times, with the rookies being insane, obviously, just throwing Kyrie into that mix is just a bad look. Like to me, the Lakers, like if he does that,
But you'll
they're just
have
gonna be crazy.
You'll have Lonzo Ball, who I feel like is gonna have a pretty good season
I
next
agree.
year.
But then Kyrie's taking Lonzo's minutes.
Nah, they would have to move him to shooting guard.
Yeah.
That's the only other option.
Who are they moving to shooting? Wait,
If they
who?
have Lonzo
Lonzo.
come off the bench, that's just
Or-
retarded.
I
Bro,
feel like
Lonzo can't be a
Kyrie
shooting
can't
guard.
be a shooting guard.
And Kyrie can't either.
can't.
He's
So
too
what? They're
small.
gonna have him come off the bench?
He has
Then
to.
yeah, that team is fucked. Then that team,
So-
that team is
You
stupid.
have 3 ball handlers at that point, plus Kuzma, who needs the ball to operate. Like to me, that's just
Lonzo
it's
would
just
be
taking
shooting
too
guard.
much.
You guys are bugging.
I don't
Lonzo
think
at
it
the
works.
Lonzo is like not a good.
Personally,
he's not a shooting guard.
once
I
a
would trade Lonzo. by the way.
Lonzo
He's not
Ball
even
is
good
not a
at
shooting
anything.
guard.
He's not even
Lonzo
a good
Ball.
fucking point guard.
All right, relax. Lonzo Ball is
He's not even a good fucking point guard.
Lonzo Ball is a pretty good point guard.
Now, Lonzo Ball's
Personally,
pretty bad.
if we
But I think this season coming
this
is going to be a
season,
good season.
this season is going to be a good season.
I
for
said
Lonzo
that
Ball.
he got
Lonzo
hurt
Ball
last
and Kuzma are going to really show up this season.
Kuzma gonna go crazy.
Maybe Bi, because everyone's been saying that Bi's gonna
Oh my
Bi's
God.
gonna
Trade
show up.
Brandon Ingram.
Bi's
I
gonna
bet
show
you
up.
Brandon Ingram.
Guys, y'all
I feel
need
like
to- y'all need
I
to
feel like
relax.
Brandon Ingram is gonna show up. He will show up at
Brandon
some
Ingram,
point.
exactly. Like
Some
he
point.
has potential.
He has
Ty and
potential
Max,
to,
they
like,
just
hang
expect
with G Herbo,
they
I
expect
guess.
everyone to be stars as soon as they get to the league. Bro, like you can't be bad for a couple years and then learn your way in. Like
Man, this
you
guy
gotta
is-
come into the league at the age of 21 being a fucking all-star.
Man, this guy's a gangbanger. I don't see
He's
this
a
guy.
what?
Yeah,
He
like
is.
this guy isn't. He's not looking to really improve. I feel like anytime soon. He's just playing. I don't like Brandon Ingram at all. I don't
why
think
it takes
I don't think
time.
he's a good player. If I was him, I'd get something for him. I'd rather them play like Kuzma. To be honest, I don't like Ingram at all.
Let's get into this next question from m.nowo on Instagram. This is our friend Matt, M.NOWO. He said, will the Yankees stick with the same lineup even when the stars return from injury? So I'm going to answer this question. Obviously, baseball is a little bit less talked about on this podcast because it's kind of irrelevant as of right now. But right now, the Yankees, if you guys don't know, are dealing with a ton of injuries. Guys like Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Hicks is back tonight officially, Miguel Andujar. They have a lot of guys on the injury list, and they're coming back.
The whole
So
team.
he's saying, will the Yankees stick with this current lineup that they have right now, which features guys like Gio Urshela and Thero Estrada, guys like that. Me personally, I think the Yankees are going to stick with Gio Urshela, the third baseman right now, for a little bit because he is very productive. He's shown great defense. He's come up with clutch hitting. And in baseball, maybe the analytics don't say this, but me personally, I believe that you got to ride the hot hand until it falls off. Baseball, people don't realize that talent in baseball is very meaningful. I think data and the analytics guys, they're always going to argue that. They're going to want guys that, righty versus lefty and things like that. But you can't argue with talent. And if guys showing a lot of potential as a prospect, you got to just ride with that. And for example, like Domingo Germán, he's one of the starting pitchers right now for the Yankees. He's having one of the best seasons in the MLB. When Luis Severino comes back, technically his job is going to be gone. But if he's being productive, why not keep him on? Maybe extend the rotation somehow. Just keep the hot hands until they fall off. Obviously, a guy like Aaron Judge, once he comes back, he's going to get his spot. No debate, because he's such a superstar. Same thing goes for Giancarlo Stanton. These guys are former MVPs. Judge should have won an MVP, so, obviously that's a debate there. But for me, honestly, Yankees should stick with guys like Gio Urshela and Domingo Germán. Clint Frazier, I could also argue could be there. But obviously, the utility guys like Thero Estrada, I don't agree with that.
What he said.
And so let's get into our final question. Oh, what do you guys? You got something to say about the Yankees, Jarny?
No, another question that we got. Another question that we got was from my buddy Miguel at reflections.auto.spa, and a thing that he asked was, how do you feel about the Cowboys coming back with Jason Witten, and how do you see their season turning out this year, especially that Dak Prescott just got paid that lump sum of money? Personally, go.
I mean, look, I'm a Giants fan, so I'm gonna be a little biased here. We're going to talk about the Cowboys with the season's over-under. That's one of our segments for the over-under today. But that Jason Witten coming back is just silly. Like, to me, there's no way he could be a viable tight end again. He's been bad, like, the year before he retired. That's kind of why he retired. Dak, Dak's, like, he's a productive quarterback. He's going to get you wins. Just, I guess to answer the question simply, I think the Cowboys are going to be a run-of-the-mill team. They're going to be average 8-8. That we're going to talk about how they are specifically in the over-under segment, but I think Dak deserves a contract. But in terms of Jason Witten,
I don't think Dak deserves that
Jason
contract.
Witten just shouldn't have came back. To me, that's just dumb. That's just, I guess they want him for like a locker room veteran presence.
I can see that. You're right. I can see that.
I don't even know if he'll be the starting tight end, to be quite honest.
They're probably going to give him his spot back. There's no. It's Jason.
You never know. A year off from sport usually does like an athlete very well. So yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Our last question today is from John Alverson on Instagram. He said, "Who had the best NFL draft?"
Sheesh.
Well, you think your Chiefs did good?
We did all right for what we had, but I think the Colts had the best draft.
The Colts?
Yeah,
what?
they only got better.
The Colts?
The Colts did good. I mean, the Colts are good.
The Colts, their defense was good. They drafted safety. I know they drafted a lot of fucking defensive players, and they got a receiver, which they need.
Me personally, I'm going to go ahead and say the 49ers had the best draft because they did. They got Bosa, who's obviously a superstar.
That's it.
They got D Ford. Like
that wasn't part of the draft.
But I mean, it happened during the draft.
No, it did not.
Like, you're talking about like strictly prospects?
Yeah, fuck out of here.
We're talking strictly prospects. I'm gonna say the Giants. I know it's like
wow!
They got what they needed. They got a quarterback. They did their job. Like they got an O lineman. Obviously, he was in the 7th round.
I don't even know if he's a quarterback. We don't even know.
He's a quarterback. He's a good player. He's gonna do his thing.
We don't know.
If usually when a lot of people hate on your draft, you end up having a pretty decent draft. Like if you're already dealing with scrutiny as a rookie, probably gonna get a lot better. Honestly. Some of their picks were stretches, like DeAndre Baker. Maybe I don't know if that's like a good move to trade up for him. But like the Giants need like a culture change. I kind of like shit on them earlier when I first found out about the pick. But as I sit on it, think about it more and more. You just can't go wrong. They needed a quarterback. Yeah, they could have got Haskins, but they're just not going to do that. It's the Giants. So
I say that after that draft, Gettleman is a fucking idiot. Because
Gettleman's an idiot, yeah.
He could have got. He was
an idiot before that.
Yeah.
But look, the Giants did what they needed to do in the draft, and that's
they didn't though.
Get talent.
They really didn't though.
I don't know.
I mean,
what would you argue, Ty? Who's your best draft?
You might go with the Broncos. They got Drew Lock.
I mean, I'm
Broncos got Drew Lock.
Let's go Broncos.
Denver, baby. Nuggets went outside. Broncos going outside.
Nah, Johnny. What you think?
I feel like the Cardinals got a lot of things out of this draft.
By the way, Johnny's the biggest Kyler Murray fan.
I am not a Kyler Murray fan. I love my Patriots, and I will ride for my Patriots. I feel like
really
the Patriots.
Besides Murray, no.
No, the
Cardinals.
The Cardinals just got this speedy wide receiver out of UMass. He's literally one of the fastest players in college football.
Oh, I understand.
Andy Isabella, and they got him.
They got Akeem Butler, who I know is
the
famous.
Cardinals.
I don't know for what, but he's famous.
The Cardinals also got hometown hero from Connecticut, defensive end Zach Allen, who used to play at Boston College. Who played? I think he played in New Canaan or Greenwich before that, which is very close to us. Yeah. So I feel like the Cardinals did get a lot of picks, but also I feel like the Browns have been making some solid moves. The Browns got a steal with cornerback Greedy Williams, who's going to be a defensive god this year.
Greedy Williams is very small though, from what I've watched in
I
college.
feel like
He's a little man.
I feel like he's
defensive god.
I
Bro?
feel like he will be.
Yeah,
Like,
you're not.
that's crazy,
Defensive
bro.
god.
No, I
I've
will
never
say
even heard
at the-
that word before.
at
You're giving it to a rookie?
LSU. If you check his stats and watch his gameplay, he was playing some great games. He was playing.
He was
some
definitely
great
popular
games.
in college, but that's
I'm
college.
gonna hold you to that.
He was
Defensive god?
he was getting college on that team. I see him putting up some big stats as a cornerback.
He's gonna
this
be
year.
like the number 2 or number 3 cornerback, which is good for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
obviously
that's
he's
amazing
gonna be playing behind Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward is a beast.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
But
I guess if he's guarding like,
if we're
your
talking
second
about
best
the
wide receiver,
draft,
it's all right.
if we're talking about the draft, I got to give a shout out to my Patriots who drafted Chase Winovich, whatever his name is, from the blonde kid from Michigan. That kid has a motor, and I feel like
He has a motor.
He has a motor. He is the type of grinder that we need on defense. He's strict to the books. He knows what he's doing. I don't know why we drafted a running back, but I feel like, hey, the Patriots know what they're doing. We got N'Keal Henry.
Pats could draft like
I
a
feel like-
kicker as their first pick, and no one's even worried.
and we'll
bro.
still
Like, they
make
can
it to and we'll still make it to the Super
That's
Bowl.
what I'm saying. So why are you? How'd they have the best draft? Like, come
But
on, you can't look at it like
either
that.
either way, they did make some great picks. Like come on, no one was
like-
even thinking of the blonde kid from Michigan.
But the context,
Yeah, because nobody knows his fucking name. That's why he's a
Exactly,
blonde kid
but
from
the,
Michigan.
but the thing is, he's just going to be a star, and watch when I say this, he will be a star. So when everyone's like, "Wow, look at the blonde kid from Michigan," we will see.
bro, I'm sure the context of that question was who had the best draft.
All right.
As in like an impact to the team.
All right.
The Pats, they have 6 rings. They're gonna, they have a chance to go almost every year. That their draft didn't really impact their fucking team, if we're being honest.
It only made us better, and when
here we go.
And when we're sweeping the Chiefs, it's gonna make me feel
Wow,
even
here
better.
we
The
go.
Chiefs.
And it's gonna make me feel even better.
We're gonna end this convo
before-
now
yeah,
before
this ends in a fist fight, speaking of drafts, let's talk about the NBA draft, which is tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, the
If I'm not
lottery.
The lottery's
The
tomorrow.
lottery's
Yeah.
tomorrow. So we find out who goes first, who goes second, whatever. What team do you think needs Zion most, besides the Knicks?
Sheesh. That's a great question.
Like, do you think Zion would be a good fit on the Suns?
The team like with the highest chances for the top 5 picks right now is the Knicks, the Cavaliers, the Suns, the Bulls, and Atlanta. I think he'd be cool on Atlanta. I'd love to
think
see
so.
that.
I would
Yeah,
like to see
Zion
that.
on
I
the
would like
Hawks
to
would
see
be
that.
crazy.
I don't want to see him on the Bulls.
He would not fit. Like the Suns is a horrible team. You know, I that's where I want to
I
see him there at all.
I can
he'd
say
be cool.
I
He'd
can
probably
say
bug out on the Suns though.
I
He'll
can
bug
say
out.
the Suns have the talent to be
They do.
Mediocre team, yeah.
not a terrible team, but I feel like the Suns can be a good team. They got Kelly Oubre now. They have
Oh my god.
Sexy Poppy Kelly Oubre.
Everybody sucks. Kevin.
they have
he's not bad.
they have
He's
D
alright.
Book. They have recent felon Josh Jackson, who is
Let's talk about that.
man.
Josh, all about
Josh Jackson, who was getting a little too loose at Rolling Loud, and now is facing a
That's
felony.
so funny.
And I feel like the Suns, if Josh Jackson isn't in jail for that, I feel like their team can do pretty
I
well.
can see
Bro, he's
that.
not going to jail. Josh Jackson's going to be fine. He's an NBA player. He's making money. If it really goes to the court, his lawyer's going to knock it off. Like, that's not even an issue.
But he was making so much money that he couldn't pay for a VIP pass at Rolling
I
Loud.
don't know. I don't think that was the case.
He was just drunk as
No,
fuck.
I think
might have
he
been,
was
yeah.
he was cool. And he's like, yo, I'm Josh Jackson. Let me go try to get in the VIP.
They're like, who?
And
I
they're
feel
like,
like
what?
Who the fuck?
We got
are
a
you?
Josh Jackson back there on the guest list?
No, but I mean, who do you guys want Zion? What team do you want him to go to?
I mean, as a Knicks fan, I want Zion. However, I don't think if we do get Zion, I feel like he'd be traded. And what I mean by that is I think he'd be traded to the Pelicans for Anthony Davis or something like that. I think they're going to throw him in a package with somebody. I mean, honestly, if this, we're going to find out, if KD and Kyrie are coming to the Knicks before they even sign. Because if the Knicks are willing to trade Zion or whoever for a superstar, we're going to know right then and there that they have a under-the-table, handshake deal with Kevin Durant or Kyrie. That's how you know right away. Because you don't just trade a guy like Zion off rip. But, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. And that's definitely going to be interesting to find out, where the balls roll for the NFL draft, or the NBA draft, I say.
I'm going to go with the Hawks. I definitely want to see the future of Zion and Trae Young. I think that would be a good duo.
That would be cool.
Zion's going number 1 for a fact.
And John Collins.
John Collins, too, yeah.
Most underrated player.
Everyone's riding the train that Zion is going first round, first pick. So I feel like I'm gonna jump on that train too. Even though before I have said I don't see him going first round, first pick. If he doesn't go first
Who the
pick,
fuck
First
would you
round?
have
Yeah.
to
Who,
if he,
Wait, all right.
It's
So
like the same
with that being said, what do you got? Who are you guys' top 3 like picks going on? Who do you think is gonna be drafted in that first order?
I'm gonna say
I got Zion,
RJ,
Ja, and then RJ.
Yeah. Ja.
yeah, that's
the
probably whoever
yeah,
has
the
it.
3. Yeah.
Hopefully it's who did you just list off?
RJ Barrett.
I personally hope it's RJ Barrett just because I have a side bet going. So hopefully the odds are in my
That was
favor.
So we got Max here. He has his own little bucket list, like players he thinks are just like
Wow.
really good buckets, and
Oh, man.
he's been talking about this Tyler Hero guy. Max, what do you think's going on with him?
I mean, Tyler Hero's a bucket.
Yeah,
he's
there's
not a bucket.
What
There's
are you
very
looking
few
at?
buckets.
What are you
Like,
looking at for his pick?
he's gonna get drafted in the first round, guaranteed. I'm gonna say like 14 or
14?
like 14, 10 to 14.
It says right here that
say, like,
that
fourth
pick
round.
14, the highest chance for that is the Kings for 95%, and that pick's going to the Celtics.
Tyler Hero is the type to like really ball out in the Celtics. Like no jokes. Like he would
my
make
God.
Gordon Hayward jobless.
Bro, get Tyler Hill the
But, like,
fuck
God,
out of here.
Like,
Jobless.
I swear to God, he would honestly send Gordon Hayward home.
Do you,
He's
you know how the,
definitely better than
the
Gordon
Cavaliers were stealing picks when they had low percentages, taking the number 1 picks? Do you guys see any team potentially stealing that number 1 pick?
I think if the Cavs get Zion, I would just be bored. Like that's
I would
not
be
even
so
cool.
yeah. It wouldn't even be like
the
a
Cavs.
even be
Like the
fun.
Cavs
Think
have
about
been
it
trash
though.
for a
Like,
while.
New Orleans, like the Pelicans have a chance at number 1. The Timberwolves do. Even the Lakers do. Do you see anybody?
If Zion-
Miami, Charlotte,
Miami would be
low
cool. to
percent.
get
Miami
Zion.
only
Charlotte would kinda be
has a
cool.
1% chance, so that's probably
if
not going
Kemba
to happen.
stays, Charlotte would be
I feel
cool.
like if Kemba does stays and they do draft Zion, I would like to see.
I would
Zion
love to
and
see
Kemba.
that.
I would like to see
more
that.
than
I would
Washington,
opt
for
too.
me.
I would
I don't
want
want to see that at all.
Washington has
You're
9%.
bugging. You rather see the Hawks than
I would much
him,
rather see this.
No,
him and
Hawks are
Trey
gonna be
Young.
elite.
You rather see him and Trey Young than him and Kemba.
Yeah,
The
by
Hawks
like
are just a
by
bad
million.
organization. The Hawks
Yeah.
are just like a wavy team. Like,
The Hawks
I
are-
like
I
them.
feel like the
They're a
Hawks are-
wavy
And the Hawks,
team.
like,
I don't know
They
if they're
have
really
good-
that wavy.
They have good players on good contracts. Like John
Just because
Collins.
it's Atlanta.
Like John Collins is probably going to be an All-Star next year, and
He's
he's
nice.
a really good
I
player.
can see
Like
that.
pairing
John
him with
Collins?
Zion
Yeah.
is just like a threat.
I went and I was at Hawks at Nets, and no one else was balling out, but John Collins gave the Nets like 35. He was going sick.
John
so-
Collins is also one of the best 2K players.
That's the
Oh, that's a fact. In my hands. I don't know about anybody
he
else.
said in my hands.
Yeah.
Let's get into the NFL over-unders. So every week we've been picking 3 teams, and then we're going over their regular season win totals according to Vegas. Start off with the Seahawks. Over/under 8.5 wins. Obviously, they extended Russell Wilson. They dropped Doug
They
Baldwin.
did not just extend him; they paid that man. They
Yeah,
made him.
yeah,
They made him rich.
Yeah,
we
that's
talk.
what he deserves.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Fuck outta here.
their over/under wins is 8.5. What are you guys taking? Over or under? All things considered about this team. Obviously, they got rid of Frank Clark. Where are they? Where are they headed?
Under. They're winning 6, maybe 7 games.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wow.
They're not gonna win 9 or
Wow.
10. Are you bugging, bro?
What
8.5 is pretty steep for this team. I think. Look, they definitely have a chance to succeed. Their division is pretty fucking bad. Besides the Rams,
Yeah.
I think the Rams are going to go 2-0 against them like they did last year. The Rams are
Mm-hmm.
just an elite team all around. 1-1 with the Cardinals. I'm definitely going to take under 8.5 here. I think this number is just too high. If it was 7.5, maybe I'd lean to over.
Yeah.
But 8-8 to me is like the peak for this team.
Yeah,
Never
I
count
can
out
see
Russell
them
Wilson.
winning 8, but
Never
I feel
count out
like
Russell Wilson.
I feel like this year is the year that everyone can count on Russell Wilson because I just feel like he will show up this year.
how much though?
I feel like
you can
he
only
will
count
show
on
up
him
this
for
year.
So much.
His name's been getting dragged around by Future. Everyone's been talking
like that
shit
for-
about him.
well,
I feel
you're
like
right,
this year he's
but-
just gonna show up and tell everyone to suck his dick, and then
He's not that type.
he's
of
gonna
player.
no
We're
he's
talking
gonna
about Russell
he's
Wilson,
gonna he's gonna
not
show up.
Westbrook.
He's gonna
Like,
show up in big games and tell everyone like, yo, suck my Christian dick as I
Christian
score this many touchdowns. So I can see it happening. But he did just lose Doug Baldwin, who did play a factor. So
Honestly,
I like their young defense. I mean,
yeah.
they
Look,
do. Their defense is young.
to tie
They
in with
could go
that.
over 8.
I think like with their defense last year, I think they just played a lot better than they should have. They played
Their
over their
defense?
heads. I think this year you're going to see a little bit more of a reality check from them. To me, Pete Carroll's kind of a clown. I don't really like Pete Carroll as a coach. I think his system only works for a couple years.
I can see that.
The
Yeah.
teams seem to get tired of him. It's kind of why they keep putting in fresh faces over and over again. I think if they have a good draft and some of their rookies are productive, they'll be good. To me, 8.5 is just too high of a number. Anyways, get on to the next team. Cowboys over under 9 wins in the rough NFC East. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm gonna go under, but I mean, Cowboys always have a good season. They just never fucking show up in the playoffs. Even when they do show up, they lose.
Contract years for Zeke and Dak, I believe.
Even like the full season, you know, with Amari Cooper, still got him going under.
You got to look at that.
Yeah, I forgot.
Amari
I forgot he's
Cooper
not
plays
even
a big role now.
Yeah.
I'm still going under.
I feel like this year the Cowboys will show up, especially with Zeke being there for a full year. Zeke not having to deal with that whole NFL crap. I see them being very productive this year.
So you're going over?
Yeah, I'm going over.
All right, so if it is over, I'll say it's a pointless over. They're going to get to the playoffs and fucking lose like they do every year.
Well, yeah,
Sorry, Cowboy fans,
they
but this is a pointless over-under for your team.
I'm going to say under 9. I think this NFC East is just super gritty. Like, the NFC East is always a tough division in football. No debate about that. But I feel like this year especially, like, the Giants and the Redskins have nothing to lose. They're going to throw out rookies, and these guys are going to play hard. They're going to run out new schemes and stuff. The Cowboys are going to win their games at home, and, you know, during those Thanksgiving games and stuff, the NFL always kind of rigs it for them. Let's keep it a buck here. The refs usually feed them a couple games every year. But I think the Eagles are going to be talented. You know, this is a really big spot for fucking Wentz. I thought it was Foles for a second. But, yeah, it's Wentz's big year for him. To me, they're just going to go 1-1 with all these teams. I think the Redskins can pull one off. Last year, the Cowboys had a lot of chippy victories where they won by a field goal. I think this isn't going to repeat itself. To me, they're going to underachieve.
But I feel like you also got to look at their defense with those 2 new studs they have.
Dude, Van Der Esch, this is, I really fucking hate Van Der Esch because he does regular football shit. Dude, get the fuck out of here. No, Van Der Esch is honestly, my least favorite player in the NFL. Wow. I hate Van Der Esch. No, I really dislike this guy. He is the most overhyped player I've ever seen because he makes basic football plays, where he'll tackle a guy, and then they'll just gas him up because he's white. They'll be like, oh, what a fucking play by Van Der Esch. Go. Dude, he made a tackle on a running back. That's literally what he has to do.
That's his job.
If he didn't do that, he wouldn't have an NFL career. So, he's the most overhyped player ever. Don't even get me started with that. To me, their defense is cool. You know what I mean? You could throw it over the top on them. Their secondary is pretty fucking weak. Amari Cooper's cool and all. I know him far too well from the Raiders. He's going to underperform this year.
No, I don't see that.
No, Amari Cooper. I watched every game with this guy on the Raiders. I know for a fact what he's going to do. He's going to underperform. No doubt about it. Dak. Honestly, I think a lot of this relies on Dak. But 9 wins, I'm taking the under on that all day. I mean, look, 9-7 to me that's the best. 10 wins, they'd be pretty fortunate if they could do that. But aside from that, I don't know.
Yeah, I've been to the over, to be honest. Yeah.
Over?
Yeah. We're talking about Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
Over?
Why over?
You said that shit too confident. Are you a Cowboys fan?
I mean, low-key, I used to like the Cowboys a lot back in the day.
Oh,
when they had Tony Romo and shit, that was my team.
Tony Romo, he's a Tony Romo ass. He loves Tony Romo.
Let's get into the Panthers over under 8 wins. This is basically all Cam Newton. I think we could agree on that. I'm going to go under here as well. I'm taking under on all 3 teams. These are all just 3 overachieving teams year after year. I think this year's going to be different. Panthers just play in the toughest division in football. And I don't know if Cam's 100%. I don't know if Cam's actually even starting week 1. I think that's up in air if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
Can't really trust Cam to stay healthy. I love Cam. He's a great football player. I saw how Christian McCaffrey got over the offseason. Dude is brolic as fuck now. But their division is just tough as hell. The Falcons are going to be a really good team this year. I can guarantee that. The Saints are, maybe the Saints aren't as good as they usually are, but they're definitely going to do their thing. I don't know. The Bucks, they might take a game from the Panthers. I think a lot of this just depends on their schedule. If the team quits or not. Last year they were one of the hottest teams in football, and the wheels fell off. And I don't know if they have the culture or they have the swagger of this team to really bring that back up to where it was. Riverboat Ron, he's an interesting coach, but I don't know if he makes the right decisions a lot. I'm going to go under here, but I'm not extremely confident in it. I think maybe they could pull something off. It depends all on Cam and Cam's health.
I got the over because I see Cam, I love Cam Newton. I personally see Cam Newton's going to come back from all this shoulder crap, and he's going to show up. The Panthers drafted a QB in the 3rd round. They drafted Will Grier out of Western Virginia.
I like Will Grier a lot, by the way.
I feel like that draft just showed Cam that he has to step his shit up. So I feel like as soon as he comes back, Cam is going to step up and show the world that there are a lot of people that do not think Cam Newton is an elite quarterback. I personally believe so. So I feel like this year will be the year that Cam Newton is just I'm here and I'm one of the best QBs in this league.
I really want to see Will Grier get some snaps at some point. Like whether
I
Cam's
would-
injured.
I would like to see that, too.
I actually think Will Greer's like a really good quarterback. Like maybe he's just gonna be a backup for the rest of his career. I don't know. But like when I saw him play at West Virginia, like he had a lot of really fucking good games. And like I know there's not talent at West Virginia, so I know he was really putting the team on his back. I don't know. We're gonna have to see with the Panthers with that tough division. What do you
I'm
think,
gonna go
Ty?
with over
I got
2.
under.
You're bugging.
Yeah, I got under. We're not sure about Cam Newton. Like, with that being said, like he's unsure. And then they're in the division. They got the Saints in there. I just really it all relies on Cam Newton here, how he's gonna come back. So I kind of got him going under.
I'm gonna go with over. I like Cam, but I don't think he's elite. He has the potential, or he could be elite, but he gets injured all the fucking time. How's he elite?
Wait, so you went over?
Yeah, I'm going over. I think
you're-
Cam
even
has to.
with
He's
Cam,
gonna.
it
This
has
is
to
like
be
his
Cam,
time
yeah.
to like show up. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, but how's he elite?
I can see Cam Newton being an elite quarterback.
Yeah, but he gets.
Name me quarterbacks besides the big names, the Tom Brady's and the Ben Roethlisberger.
Those are
Andrew
elite
Luck.
quarterbacks.
No,
though.
of course. Andrew Luck.
What do you want me to name someone that's
Andrew
low-key
Luck
elite?
Andrew Luck is better than Cam. No, time out. Andrew Luck
Arguing with yourself over here.
Andrew Luck. No.
That movie where the dude has like two personalities.
Cam Newton is an elite quarterback. It's there. Everything's there. Besides
Sometimes.
He has the skill
He
set
has
of an
some-
elite
like,
quarterback,
sometimes
but he's
on
not
the
elite in the
quarterback.
game.
But we gotta take into consideration his shoulder. It's been a nagging problem for so
stops
long.
him from being elite,
It's
though.
always
Like-
been a nagging problem. I feel like after this shoulder, Cam Newton will show the world that yes, he
I
is
can
an
see
elite
that.
Cam's
quarterback.
the NFL version of D Rose. It's always been like that.
How the fuck is he the
Nah,
NFL version
He
of
won an
D.
MVP
Rose?
on like a kind of fluky year.
Got hurt.
Got hurt, and then
Every year
since then
since.
it's been kind of disappointing. Would
All
you
right.
argue that?
Yeah, that's kind of a fact.
That's a good way.
Like, that was
That was a
a
pretty good way.
pinpoint.
I'm gonna say D Rose's year was fluky, but
No, it's pretty fluky.
nah,
Nah,
get
D
outta
Rose's
here.
year
That
wasn't
team
fluky.
like number
D
one
Rose is
seed.
not having
Like, it
fun.
wasn't,
Yeah.
it was fluky that he won.
I
the
mean, I would've gave it
MVP.
to Bron.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what
what I'm
I'm
saying.
saying?
It's like they kind of
It had a story behind it too. MVP,
Yeah.
a lot of times MVP, the story goes along with the MVP too. That actually helps a lot. So
But speaking of MVPs for the betting segment, I think you got to give it to your boy. I'm the self-proclaimed MVP. Let's do a little record recap
little
before we
too
get into
early.
our betting segment. A little too early for what? That's telling me the
It's a little too
MVP?
early.
Man,
Let's see what happens
4-1
when we get
speaks
to
for
10
itself.
bets.
That's what I'm saying.
So you
Let's
have
get
to
to
make it 10
10, 15 bets.
4-1 speaks for itself. I'm 4-1 right now.
Johnny
Malik's
could
sitting
go on
at
like a
2-2.
10-0 run.
We know Jarny too well. Ty's at 2-3. Malik's at 2-2. Jarny's at 0-0. He's back now. He's giving his picks for the first time. Jarny, who's your pick?
I got Warriors minus 7.5.
Wow. And what's your reasoning for that?
I just feel like the Warriors are just gonna look like the 2015 Warriors. They're gonna have no problem getting past the Blazers. I just feel like the Warriors are going to do well.
Game 1, 2, yeah.
I have a similar bet to Jarny, but I'm taking the first half, Warriors minus 4.5. So the reasoning for this is the game is tomorrow. The Blazers have to fly all the way from Denver to, San Francisco. And they just played a game 7 where
It's not that far.
each starter. It's not that far, but traveling out of Denver affects players. Like that's a well-known fact because the altitude.
No, that is
Like, it actually is
well known
true.
fact.
On top of that, they just played a game 7 where everyone probably played 40-plus minutes. I could literally pull up the stats right now, and I guarantee everyone played 40-plus minutes. The Warriors are well-rested. They just had a really big series. I think they're not a team you want to mess with right now. The reason, though, I'm taking the first half only is because the Warriors are very famous for falling asleep in the second half, at least this year, where they're just kind of letting teams come back into the game. I don't really want to bet on that Dame time, shenanigans. where he turns off in the second half.
dollar.
But yeah, I mean, looking at it right now, Dame and CJ just played 45 minutes. Enes Kanter played 39 minutes. Obviously, he's having he had that shoulder problem too. I think the Warriors, they're just going to be the well-rested team here. Take them in the first half. They're going to come out roaring. They know how important a game 1 is at home. To me, that's my best bet of the week.
I'm going to go with Raptors plus 6.5. I actually have Raptors winning that game, but, everyone's on the Bucks bandwagon. But after that game 7, I feel like they're still going to be hot. And I feel like Kawhi is going to show up. I feel like Siakam's going to do his thing. I feel like he's going to have 9 assists, 10 assists maybe.
0 points.
0 points, yeah. But I feel like he's going to move the ball well. And this is their first time playing. This is the Bucks' real chance to show that they're the Bucks. The Celtics, they didn't fucking show up. I'm sorry, Ty, but they didn't show up. So that was some bullshit.
It is what it is.
The Pistons, bro, they flew by. They stepped all over
I
them.
forgot the Pistons.
Yeah, we all forgot this is their first time.
In the playoffs. That's crazy.
So this is now we're really gonna see the Bucks, and I feel like Raptors winning the first game.
I got Raptors 6.5 plus 6.5 too. They're coming off of that win against Philly, and really, like, Kawhi is just unstoppable, you know? Like, that's been, like, the story for me.
As
at
Max
least.
says, he's a bucket.
Kawhi is a bucket.
Yeah, here you go. He's a bucket. I don't know what the Bucks have planned for the Raptors, and we've seen like the Bucks can be slowed down, and the Raptors are a very good defensive team. So I'm not sure the Bucks are even going to take this game, but I definitely think 6.5 is a safe bet.
I just got a quick question. Where did you see the Bucks get slowed down? Because I don't remember that.
Game 1
Horford?
of the
Yeah, he
Celtics
had
and
Giannis
Bucks.
looking
That literally
crazy.
Giannis was slowed down.
And then
Yeah.
since then,
I mean, they didn't execute that they did in Game 1.
Game 2,
The Raptor-
Giannis was
the
still
Raptor-
a little iffy, but
The
Game 3,
yeah,
Giannis
Game 2
ate
Giannis was still
fucking-
iffy. Yeah. Game 2 Giannis got
guys
saved
just
by
didn't-
Chris Middleton.
I guess we're
Yeah.
gonna have to wait and see and find out the records on next
What's
week's
that? The game's
show.
Wednesday.
Thursday.
The Bucks game is on Wednesday.
Wednesday, all right, cool.
Tuesday
All
is
right,
the
cool.
Warriors game.
Yeah.
Be sure to check our bets out on next week's show this Thursday. Also, be sure to follow us on all social medias such as Twitter and Instagram at TU Sports Pod. Be sure to look us up on all platforms: Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, wherever you
Everything.
get your podcasts.
Everything
Literally
and
everywhere.
everything.
Everywhere. Look up Teed Up Sports Podcast. I'm Brock. Thanks for listening. I'm out.
I'm Jarny. Thanks for listening. I'm back and I'm teed up.
I'm Ty and I'm out.
I'm leaking, I'm out.